everybody, welcome back for our next science lesson. We will continue talking about properties of liquids. I want to go over some vocabulary terms with you before we jump in. So the first vocabulary picture that I've got is for the word bubbly. So we know what we think of when we hear bubbles. It's easy to think about, even a child with some bubbles that we can blow into the air. I'm sure some of you love to blow bubbles. So right now we're going to think about that in our liquids. Do our liquids have bubbles throughout? Look at where these bubbles are placed. And you'll notice as they come to the surface, those bubbles begin to pop, just like bubbles that we blow that are in the air. Now there's another form where we will see bubbles, but we call this one foamy. What do you notice about the placement of those bubbles? They're all on the top of the surface. So the foamy one sits above. Bubbly is going to be throughout the liquid. So look at that carefully. Foamy, they sit above. Bubbly, they are throughout the liquid. Now let's look at some other things that we might use to describe liquids. Some liquids might have a color, so we will say it has color. We looked at some the other day, like our dish soap. Most of you could go look in your kitchen right now and you'll see your dish soap. And often it has color to it. So that's something we'll look at with our liquids. We talked about this the other day, but I didn't give you our new vocabulary term yet. We talked about how some liquids are very thick and they flow much slower. This is called viscous, the viscosity of the liquid. Say that with me, viscous. So you'll notice our picture shows how it's flowing slow because it is thicker. Is the liquid viscous? Does it have that slow moving flow to it? And then we have discussed this a little bit recently, things that are transparent. We discussed it with our solids. Transparent means we can see straight through it. See the line behind? I can see right through my liquid because it is clear. So transparent means something is clear or I'm able to see through it. Now the other would be translucent. Can you see through this one, the line behind it? You cannot. So translucent, I cannot see behind it. So let's think about these terms as we get ready to describe our liquids. What I would like you to do now is to get out your journal, and I want you to go ahead and set your journal up. You're going to put your title, liquid properties, and then we're setting up a chart. So use the lines in your journal. So we are going to have our object here and the property names here. Transparent, that we can see through. Translucent, which we cannot see through, has color. Viscous, bubbly, foamy. And then at the top of your chart in your journal, you will label these sections: water, hand soap, oil, corn soap, water with color, dish soap. Right now, I want you to press pause and set up your journal, please. When you are finished, come back and press play. Okay, let's continue. Your journal should be set up and ready. So let's do our investigation. So we're starting with water. I have some water in a bottle right here. So I'm going to shake it up. And do we really see any bubbles or foam sticking around? Not really. What's funny is, look at me. You can actually, look at that. You can see Miss Lambert straight through that bottle of water. It's kind of funny looking. So I know that this one is clear. I can see through it. So let's go ahead and mark that one. So put a check mark there that our water is transparent. I mean, anywhere I hold it, I can see through to my poster. I may not be able to read it all as clearly because the water changes the shape somewhat, but look, you can see my face right there. So you can definitely see through the water because it's clear. If we mark transparent, we're not going to mark translucent. Remember, those are opposite. Does this have any color to it? There's no color. Is it viscous? Do we have a thickness to the flow? No. Is it bubbly or foamy? Not really, because it moves so quick, it doesn't really hold those bubbles. So the only one we really need to mark on water is transparent. Let's look at our hand soap next. Okay, so I already noticed something different about it. Let's see, can you see Miss Lambert through this bottle? Not at all. I can't see my poster through it. So this one is not transparent, it is translucent. So mark that one in your journal. Okay, let's talk about color. Do you see a color? I see white. It's not clear. It does have a white color. We also know that hand soap, that people can put lots of different colors in them. So we could say that it has color. Then let's check the viscosity of this one. Does it flow quickly or slowly? I'm going to let some of that soap settle down from the back. And I'm going to see if I can get a little light behind it where you can see even better. So can you see the level right here where that dish soap is? Like when I hold it back, you can even see it better now. It is settling. So let's watch how it moves. It moves fairly quickly, but does it move this quick? Let's see. I feel like there is some thickness to it. You can test your dish soap at home. I'm going to mark viscous on here. You decide at home. You could go check, not dish soap, your hand soap. Go to your bathroom and check your little hand soap bottle. Do you think it flows slowly or quickly? Now we're going to see, is it bubbly or foamy? So I need to shake and shake and shake and see what we have. So I don't notice bubbles on top. There's not a layer of bubbles. There are some bubbles. They're probably harder for you to see at home. This side right here has quite a few in them, but the camera doesn't pick it up great. Let's see if we can look at it down here if it shows any better. There are some bubbles throughout it. You can see these small bubbles here, 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 and here. So that is what we would call bubbly, not foamy. It did not have the bubbles on top. Look at our next liquid. We are going to test the oil. Remember the oil that you might use in your kitchen for cooking. So first thing, what do you notice? Look through it. Can you see me? Can we see parts of that poster? I can see those colors right there of that poster. Like I said, I can see myself through it. So this would be marked as transparent. That means we don't mark translucent. Does it have color? Well, it's clear there is a little bit of a color. It's kind of off-white. It's not like our water. So we can mark it has color. Is it viscous? What do y'all think? It's pretty quick flowing. It's much quicker than the hand soap. So I'm not going to mark it for this one. Let's see if it's bubbly or foamy. So I'm going to give it a good shake. You could test your oil out at home if it's okay with your parents. You got to check with them first. Can you see it? Let me hold it down to the camera here. Are you able to see that there are bubbles in it? So I would call this one bubbly. They're floating around. Like I said, it's a little hard for the camera to pick it up, but you might can see tiny, tiny bubbles all throughout it. There's a little bit of foam sitting on top. It's not a big layer. Do you see this small layer right up here? There is a small layer of foam. So if you want to mark both, that's up to you. It's a very small layer of foam, but mostly bubbly. Okay, let's try our corn syrup next. Remember that was what we called Karo syrup. It was the one that was very thick, so we should already know something we're going to mark. Okay, let's do our first test. Look right there. What do you see through it? You can see me directly through it. I can see my marker board back there. I can look over here and see some of the colors of my poster. So it is transparent. Has color. There's not much color to this. It's a little bit off-white. If I compare it to the oil definitely has more color. I'm not going to mark has color. This one is pretty thick, but then I'm going to look at the big bottle of it. Let's see what happens when I have a bunch of this corn syrup all together. That one's darker. So, we could mark has color because there is some color to it. So that's up to you. You choose. Viscous. Let's look at the movement of this. So definitely has viscosity. It moves very slow. It's thick. Now let's see if it is bubbly or foamy. So I'm going to give it some shakes. Guess what's happening as I'm shaking? Did you hear these? Listen to the oil. Listen to this. Can you hear anything? You know what? It's so much viscosity, I can't shake it. It doesn't move enough to be shaken. So are there bubbles or foam? There's none. So we don't have to mark those. Next, we're doing water with color. So let's look at our water with color right here. Can we see through it? You can some, not as well. Let's see what happens if I hold my pen. You can definitely see that. So it is still transparent, not as transparent as the water without color. Does it have color? Well, yes, we've added color to this. So it has a blue color to it. It's doesn't have viscosity because it's water. It's flowing quickly. Let's see about the bubbles and the foam. Look at that one. Now that one foams up on top. So I'm going to mark foamy. I want you to compare and see this compared to the water without color. So I'm going to shake them both at the same time and put them side by side. Quite a bit of difference there. So the water with color is able to foam up. Now we'll check our last thing, dish soap. And again, if your parent says it's okay, you could go to your sink and look for your Dawn or your Palmolive or whatever brand of dish soap you have, and you can test it. So first thing, can we see through it? Maybe a little. Let's see. Can you see my pen through it? You can. It's a little bit thick, but you can see through it. It definitely has color. So let's check that one off. Viscous. Let's see. It is thicker than my water. Not quite as thick as my hand soap, but if you'll notice, some of this soap is staying up on the top and it takes a while to drip down. So I'm going to mark viscous. Now let's test for the bubbles and foam. Make a prediction right now. What do you think is going to happen? Think about what happens if you ever help wash the dishes. So let's shake, 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 and see what we've got. So in the middle, again, it may be hard to see. There's tons of tiny bubbles. What do you see on top? Definitely see foam on top also. So I'll give it one more shake and let you get a good look as it starts to settle. So the bubbles, you can even see the bubbles throughout sliding down. And there's that layer of foam on top. So I'm going to mark both of those. It is bubbly and foamy. So that was our experiment today. You are welcome, with your parents' assistance, to look for some of your liquids in your house and test them out as well. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and learning about liquid properties.